Good evening. My name is Katrina Berg, and I am going to be discussing the case study He Blew the Whistle and Health Giants Quake. This case study was actually one of my favorite case studies through the courses that I've taken to read about and understand. The history or the background of the case study is about James Alderson. He is a whistleblower and he actually blew the whistle on Quorum that had taken over management of North Valley Hospital. When they took over, Quorum wanted James Alderson to create a second set of books recording different expenses than those reported to the government. Um, standards show that most of the time you have one set of books, but they had one set of books that was an aggressive cost report that was sent to the government claiming the largest possible number of expenses. And then they also did a conservative report that was for internal use, and this estimated how much of the filed report could potentially be reserved. And if the claim actually survived the 2-year audit period, then the reserves were booked to revenue. Um, he when asked to create the second set of books, James Alderson refused and was actually dismissed from his employment with North Valley Hospital. Even though Mr. Anderson may not have been a member of IMA, he still upheld the standards that are expected of members, and he ended up filing both civil and criminal suits against Quorum. Um, It was later said by his attorney, Stephen Meagher, that a discovery made by one man at a small rural hospital ultimately unraveled a nationwide, system-wide scheme. So, um, James actually showed his competence throughout the case study, especially as he was reviewing all the files that they used in the lawsuit against Quorum. He also displayed his confidentiality, because he throughout the investigative process, because he was living a secret life, he wasn't able to tell his family or his friends what was actually going on until it was all released. This actually shows his integrity. Unlike others working for the organization, James knew that what was happening was wrong and dishonest, and he took the steps to correct it. So he wouldn't stand by and let it continue. It also his credibility was displayed when he it was confirmed when a board member from the new hospital he worked for told him the hospital had picked the right man to run their finances honestly. This obviously shows that he displays IMA standards. He was competent, he held confidentiality standards, he displayed his integrity and credibility throughout his career. Um, One of the things with IMA is they say that you should not ignore any issues that arise. You should not ignore them, but rather you should seek to actively seek resolution for the issue. I don't actually think that James Anderson or Alderson was not really given the ability to follow IMA's directive in resolving the ethical issues. He was dismissed from his position with North Valley Hospital before he could actually reach out to um, his immediate supervisor or a higher supervisor at the next level. Um, he also wouldn't have been able to seek advice from the anonymous hotline that they offer. But after being released, he did seek advice from an attorney, but it was actually regarding a wrongful termination. It was when he was discussing the items with one of the members that still worked at North Valley that he heard about a case that allowed an individual to file a fraud suit on behalf of the government called a QTAM case. So he did reach out after, but I don't think that he was actually able to implement these uh, or steps that IMA has in place for that. He did actually eventually win his case against Quorum, but it did take several years, and he was able to ultimately bring down a major scheme that was occurring.